What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me for another episode. If you're new here, go ahead, please hit that subscribe button, leave me a like. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps me out. Today I'm going to go over something that I think, in about 2,000 miles of ownership of this bike, I can be pretty well versed in. And that's going to be the fuel mileage of the Rebel 500, because I know a lot of people out there are probably curious, what kind of fuel mileage does this bike get? And it is a conversation that comes up quite a bit when you're looking on like Facebook forums and stuff like that. When it comes to these small displacement bikes, that's what most people are interested in. They want something fuel efficient with just enough power to get them by, most likely because they're going to be using this bike similar to what I use it for, which is commuting to work. So why not get some excellent fuel mileage? And today I'm going to tell you what to kind of expect out of this bike. Alright, so first and foremost, as you know, this is a Rebel 500. This isn't really going to apply to the 300, but if you have a Rebel 300, I would expect to get slightly better fuel economy, at least in most situations. And I'm going to go ahead and note this right now. I am approximately 6 foot tall, maybe a little bit taller with my boots here on, and I'm also 238 pounds. So if you're a lightweight rider, a lot lighter than me, you're probably going to see a little more fuel efficiency as well. So keep that in mind. Now, the one area of fuel efficiency with this bike that I'm well versed on is the highway, because my commute, which is mainly what I use this thing for, is like 90% on the highway and only about 10% of just getting to the highway. Alright, so while I'm commuting on the highway, usually here, I'm doing around 75 to 80 miles per hour, and it's usually closer to 80 miles per hour. So if you tend to slow down a little bit more than that, the fuel efficiency will also go up. I haven't tested this bike at much slower speeds when it comes to the highway, but I'm sure you could get anywhere between maybe 8 to 10 miles per gallon more if, say, you were going a steady 65 miles per hour. I've been averaging anywhere between 60 to 62 miles per gallon. Now, in my opinion, that's pretty good, especially for 80 miles per hour, because when I had my Duke 390, I would usually get about 55 miles per gallon, and my TFT display was pretty optimistic about that. It would say I was getting around 60 plus, but when it came to actually filling up the bike and doing the math, it was a lot lower, around 55 miles per gallon. Now, I think that says a lot about the Rebel 500, because this bike is approximately 100 cc's of more displacement than a Duke 390, and somehow it uses less fuel. So yeah, this is generally what my Rebel's dealing with right here, about speeds approximately around this area. For me, at least, at higher speeds up around 80 miles per hour, I'm getting 60 to 62 miles per gallon. Now, I haven't ridden this bike in a whole lot of city scenarios, so I'm going to speak very, very lightly about this. In fact, the only kind of city commute that I've really done was during Father's Day. I took my neighbor out to Julian, and the total trip was about 78 miles. And when we came back, I stopped at my local Mobile and I filled up, and the bike only took 0.932 gallons of gas to fill up. Now, during that commute, we were on a back road where there wasn't too many stoplights. So when it comes to city mileage, this is why I'm going to speak on it very lightly. This is the closest factor I've really gotten to city mileage. Our speeds were approximately anywhere between, I'd say, 30 to 60 miles per hour, but mainly keeping towards the lower range. And that was because my neighbor only has his permit, and we were on some really twisty roads here and there, and I wanted to make sure that he got through every turn safe, so I took my time, and I wanted to make sure that he didn't try to chase me through any turns and have any accidents. So this commute was like really slow, just a nice steady pace, and there were a couple straightaways where we were able to open the bikes up a little bit more, but for the most part it stayed underneath 60 miles per hour, and I would say the average speed was probably around 45. Now, if you did the math about what I just said, that came out somewhere around, I believe, 82 miles per gallon. That's pretty good. I mean, that's insane. That's really good mileage for a 471 cc motorcycle. I think Honda did a really good job when it comes to fuel efficiency for this bike. I mean, that's insane mileage. If that actually, was my average miles around city, and you rode this bike for an entire tank, you would see well into the 200 mile range before this tank ran dry. So if you've been looking into the Rebel and you've been wondering about its fuel efficiency, now you know. And it could be a little bit better if you're a lightweight rider, like I said. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave me a comment, leave me a like. As a matter of fact, in the comment section, let me know if you have a Rebel, what's your mileage look like? Even if it's a 250, a 300, a 500, I don't care. Thanks for joining me, like I said again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.